You're listening to Have You Ever Wondered? It is Thursday, June 16th, 2022. And the title of today's episode is Step Back. I'm Chloe, of course. So you guys, I had some trouble deciding on a topic for today. And if you're listening live, it's not why I started a few minutes after when I generally do. I refuse to use the word late because I don't really ascribe to that concept in this context. But originally, I thought I was going to want to talk about January 6th. And if you live in or are from the US, then you know what that means. But as often happens with major moments in, I was going to say recent American history, but really all of it, we refer to the date of something that happened to us many times without the year even noted. And then we always expect the rest of the world to know what we're talking about because the US has a very US-centric mindset. But when we say January 6th, of all the ones that have ever gone by, it is the one from last year that is the most notable because there was a democracy undermining event that took place in Washington, D.C. at our Capitol building. I actually had to look up to see if it was last year or this year because the last 3 years have felt like one long year, but it was last year. Now, I won't go into it to say any more than that it was bedlam because I do want to actually discuss it on a different day. But because of what happened that day, there are government hearings being held currently, and I thought they would be further along. Like I thought they would have disseminated more information than what we already know, but they haven't really. And the main thing they're trying to figure out is, was that the very most or the very least American thing that those people could have been doing that day? But since there's not much new information, I don't really feel like talking about that. So then I was like, well, now what? And my mind started going and going and going. I thought about it in the morning, afternoon, a bunch more in the afternoon, in the evening, and I had to try to stop thinking about it for a couple of hours last night so that I could attend a Bible study that I go to. And then I went back to thinking about it, and finally I realized what the answer was. You see, I have ADHD. And so when my mind, which is constantly moving, starts spooling up like it did about this, and spinning and spinning and spinning because it can't find purchase on any one thought or idea, it means it's time for me to step back. Now, I wish I could say that I had learned this sooner and that I have been employing this technique effectively throughout my life. But it's actually something that I've learned how to do quite recently, but it's been extremely helpful for me. Today's thoughts are actually a semi-addendum to Monday's thoughts about self-care. And although I try to take down most of these episodes after about 24 hours to kind of mimic what happens with an Instagram story, If you're still interested in Monday's episode, I'm pretty sure I left it up on YouTube in case there were additional people who wanted to hear or see it more. But the continuation of it is that sometimes what you need to help quiet your mind and regain a vision or an inspiration that you lack is to press pause and step back from everything you're thinking about at that moment, including the thing you're trying to figure out, everything you're trying to force, everything you're trying to do. And instead of spool up, spool down. I think I made that up. So do something that might seem counterproductive in the moment, but that will actually end up interrupting the fruitless cycle that you're in and give your mind a chance to renew. Now, I know the concept of mind renewal is in mind, and also that it makes its way into multiple other global areas of faith and schools of thought. This idea of holding or creating space in your life to renew your mind so that you can think clearly and with discernment. At which point, it's easier to rejoin the sort of daily activities of your life and move forward. So, at that point, it may also be obvious for some people, maybe more people than realize it, that instead of moving back into your life, you need a little extra time to hold that space. But one of the main things that comes from stepping back, at least for me, is clarity. So years ago on his album Heavier Things, John Mayer featured a song called Clarity. And let me tell you what, I used to listen to that song on repeat. Which is something I do with songs sometimes. One, because that particular song, the piano line that it starts with, I just found it really ear-catching. I actually still do. I'm probably going to go listen to that song as soon as I finish this. But two, I liked what he was saying. And like I said before, I haven't always been the greatest at finding mental calm. And so the idea that he put forth in the song was really compelling to me. That he'd been all tied up and that whatever morning he wakes up or is trying to describe this song, he finds this calm and it helps him regain the clarity. So amazingly, although not amazingly because I've done this before, maybe amazingly how quickly I realized that the answer to my what's tomorrow's topic going to be conundrum was that, and this is of course yesterday, today's topic was that there was no topic except that I needed to step back from all the other topics that were swirling around in my mind. And then I felt that similar calm. You know, the one I discussed on Monday that I'm constantly looking for in my life. Probably because there is so much going on for me internally. Now, not everything is about me, obviously. And so the thing that makes this a valid topic to discuss in a public forum is the fact that I also want you to feel like you could take a step back. You could take a step back. Like mentally, what can you do that will give you some time and space to renew your mind today? All the days. It's prayer for some people. It's meditation for some people. It's running for some people. It's walking for some people. It's painting for some people. It's riding for some people. I am not going to go through all the verbs that you can attribute to humans, but you know you. So I'm assuming you also know what helps you to find a calmer state, or perhaps this will encourage you to go figure out what that is. As I was thinking about the act of stepping back intentionally, I also started thinking about a number of people that I know and their jobs, like what is required of them, what level of energy or intensity that they have to bring with them to do their work. And I realized I know a lot of people who have intense jobs, like physically or mentally or emotionally intense. Maybe there's a lot of travel involved, or a talent or a skill or something that you have to have been born with or practiced a lot or went to school for a long time for, that no one else knows how to do the way that you do it. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes at functioning on that level over a considerable amount of time. Please find and then give yourself away and room to step back and renew. Man, it's crucial. So one of the things we were talking about in my group last night was the concept of urgency and how it functions in Western society. And although that is yet another topic for another day, I couldn't help thinking while we were talking that that was exactly what I was doing to myself. I had been subjecting myself unwittingly to this unnecessary urgency and making myself feel like I was going to be failing if I couldn't figure out what I wanted as quickly as possible. And then I had to force myself to step back from my own mind. Because I started this podcast to be something that was enjoyable and an outlet and fun and useful. And that urgency was tainting this beautiful activity that I have really loved doing these past couple weeks and making it feel difficult. And as it turns out, the revelation I was looking for was found in the fold of that quiet space that I was able to carve out in my busy, busy mind. Alas, you talented and intense and highly skilled and dedicated people out there can give yourselves permission to step back for a moment, 10 minutes, an hour, however long. You might be surprised by what kind of clarity you find on the other side of a moment of intentional renewal. So, of course, song lyrics are a form of poetry. They can be, or they are all the time. Another question for another day. But I, of course, figured the only appropriate offering for today's poetry time will be to share with you some of the lyrics from the song I was talking about, Clarity by John Mayer. I worry. I weigh 3 times my body. I worry, I throw my fear around, but this morning, there's a calm I can't explain. The rock candies melted, only diamonds now remain. By the time I recognize this moment will be gone, but I will bend the light, pretending that it somehow lingered on. And I will wait to find if this will last forever. And I will pay no mind when it won't, because it can't. It just can't, because it's not supposed to. Was there a second of time I looked around? Did I sail through or drop my anger down? Was anything enough to kiss the ground and say, I'm here now, And she is here now. So much wasted in the afternoon. So much sacred in the month of June. How about you? You can go listen to the song if you want to hear all of it, but those were just a couple of the lines, a few of the lines, some of the lines that resonated with me, especially in regards to finding clarity. And then I think it makes an important point, which is that renewal has to take place regularly, because you may find that feeling in a moment, but it won't stay. You have to keep seeking it out, keep going to get it, keep bringing it back. So I wish that for you today, that you find some time for renewal, and that it brings you some additional clarity. It's worth putting something off so that you can step back. Thanks for spending some of your very important time with me today. I'll be back again tomorrow.